Am I the for telling my girlfriend she overreacted after walking in on her son and his girlfriend cuddling while undressed on vacation? June 28th, 2024. Just to clarify, all names are fake. I'm 48 years old, and I've been dating my girlfriend, Kelly, who's 50, for nearly 2 years. We're currently on vacation with her son, Ryan, his girlfriend Emily, my sister, brother-in-law, niece, and her boyfriend. Now, to set the scene, I know Ryan well. I've known him for almost a decade, having coached him in high school, and we've become very close over the years. He's practically like a son to me. Ryan has been dating Emily since high school, so they've been together for quite some time. When Kelly and I were planning this trip, she insisted that Ryan and Emily wouldn't share a room. I thought she was joking at first, but no, she was serious. I know Ryan is sexually active, he's never hidden that fact from me. I said okay, fine, and the room arrangement was set. Ryan was supposed to room with my niece's boyfriend, and my niece and Emily were to share a room. But, of course, this setup didn't last long. Everyone agreed to this arrangement at first. The girls even had a slumber party on the first night, just as expected. But it didn't take long for Ryan to figure out that this was just a way for Kelly to appease me. So, I handed him his room key and told him to do whatever with the second key, which he immediately gave to Emily. My niece did the same, giving her spare key to her boyfriend. As expected, that's how things ended up working out. So here's the kicker, somehow, Ryan left his wallet in our room. Instead of just texting him or knocking on his door to return it, Kelly decided to use the key and go to his room herself. And what did she walk in on? Not what she expected, that's for sure. To be honest, they weren't having sex, but what she saw wasn't much better in her eyes. She described them as both nude, though covered from the waist down, cuddled up together. Ryan was running his fingers gently over Emily's back. To be fair, it's exactly what you might expect from a loving couple, just sharing an intimate moment. It wasn't explicit, but it was enough to set Kelly off. She went into full hysterics. She refused to come to breakfast, and when I tried to reason with her, I told her it was no big deal, that she should be thankful she didn't walk in on something more explicit. But Kelly was beside herself, her emotions all over the place. I told her she was overreacting. After all, Ryan's an adult, and he's been with Emily for years. They're not kids anymore. Kelly had confided in me before that she didn't like Emily, but honestly, I've never seen Emily do anything wrong. She's a bit punky, sure, and Ryan is more preppy, but she's a sweet person who cares deeply for him, and he feels the same about her. When I told Kelly she was overreacting, she lost it. She called Ryan a child, accused me of taking Emily's side, and insulted me in every way possible. I'm honestly concerned now. I've been trying to understand if maybe she forgot to take some mood-regulating medication because I've never seen her act like this before. Now she's completely shunning me, refusing to talk to me, and I feel like I'm the bad guy here. Meanwhile, we're all sitting on the beach, trying to enjoy the day, and Kelly is sulking in the room. She's so upset, and I can't seem to get through to her. It's like there's this giant rift between us now, and I'm wondering if I did the right thing. To add a bit more context, Ryan and Emily have been living together for about 5 years. Ryan paid for his and Emily's portion of the trip. When Kelly brought up the whole room sharing issue while I was booking it, I thought she was kidding, but she wasn't. I only realized how serious she was when we were checking in, and she reminded me of the rule. Instead of arguing in the lobby, I just handed out the room keys and let everyone do what they wanted. Honestly, I just wanted to enjoy the trip, grab a drink, and eat some fruit on the beach. Kelly knows she has an unhealthy relationship with Ryan and has been in therapy for it. She also takes medication to control her mood, though I'm not sure if she's been taking it recently. I think that covers everything for now, but if I think of anything else, I'll add it. Apologies if I can't get to all the comments, I'm just trying to relax and enjoy the vacation. A few people have commented with their thoughts. One person said, "You're definitely not the." Kelly is overreacting. Ryan is an adult and has been in a stable relationship for years. Your girlfriend shouldn't have even tried to police them with room assignments. I agree, Ryan's no child. They've been dating for about 8 years now, not 5 like I thought. I do wish I had questioned Kelly more about this, but hindsight's 20/20th. Another commenter said, your girlfriend sounds like she has no respect for her son. Hopefully, this is just a one-off thing, but from what Emily said, it sounds like it's a pattern. I agree. I don't want to waver on this one. I'm sticking up for Ryan and Emily. They've done nothing wrong, and they shouldn't feel guilty about anything. One more commenter pointed out, it sounds like she only returned the wallet that way on purpose, so she could catch them in the act. And I can't help but wonder if that's the case. The tension in the air was thick, every word between us carrying the weight of months, maybe even years of unresolved issues. Was I wrong to feel like the outsider in this? To question my girlfriend's attachment to her son? Kelly had never outright said it, but it was clear from the arguments she'd had with Ryan about his relationship with Emily. These weren't isolated incidents, these were emotional battles fought on a battlefield of expectations and unspoken rules. Then, there was the matter of control. Was she just trying to protect him, or was there something deeper going on? She'd gotten upset when Ryan started spending too much time with Emily. To her, it felt like he was slipping away, like he was hers to nurture and guide forever. The argument had been about how all Ryan did was spend time with Emily. Was that an unfair criticism, or was there some truth buried under the surface? I couldn't say for sure, but I knew the argument wasn't the first of its kind. There was something more to it. As I read through the comments, a mix of support and criticism, I couldn't help but wonder, had I become the enabler in all of this? It was hard to ignore the raw emotion, the sense of being caught between two worlds. People were quick to judge, some saying Kelly was the one acting like a child, others calling her out for trying to control her adult son's life. They didn't see what I saw. They didn't understand the complexities of a mother's love, twisted by years of hurt and abandonment. The situation was only getting worse. Kelly had thrown a tantrum over Ryan and Emily's room arrangements, something I thought was a joke at first. But when Kelly reminded me of the rule in the hotel lobby, I realized she wasn't joking at all. I stood there, bewildered, feeling like the whole thing was absurd. I didn't have the energy to argue, so I just handed out the room keys and hoped for the best. But my mind was still reeling. Later, on the beach, I spoke with Ryan. He was calm, surprisingly understanding. I apologized for Kelly's outburst, expecting him to be angry, but instead, he apologized to me. I couldn't believe it. He was apologizing for something he had no control over. I reassured him that there was no reason to apologize, and he quickly mentioned something that struck me deeply: emotional incest. He said it had been a real issue when he was a teenager, and even now, as an adult, it was something his mom was still struggling to work through. When I spoke with Emily, I learned more about the underlying tension between her and Kelly. It wasn't just a random dislike, there were real reasons behind it. Emily had told me that just before Ryan moved out, Kelly had walked in on them during a more intimate moment. The fallout from that was severe, much worse than anything that had happened with the recent incident. Ryan, barely 19 at the time, had to move in with Emily's family to escape the emotional fallout. He told his mom that he wouldn't have any contact with her unless she sought therapy and worked on herself. That moment seemed to be the trigger, the moment when Kelly's attachment issues really came to the surface. Kelly's relationship with her son had always been complicated. In our conversations, she referenced the trauma of being a single mother, her abandonment issues rooted in the fact that Ryan's father had left her after a brief fling. She had thought he would stay, that they would raise a family together, but he had abandoned her. It was clear now that she had built up walls, using Ryan as her anchor, a way to cope with all that pain. And then, of course, there was Emily. Kelly had always thought she was too outspoken, too bold, but I saw her differently. Emily was opinionated, yes, but she was also intelligent, respectful, and kind. Ryan thought the world of her, always hanging on her every word. It wasn't just a relationship, it was a partnership built on mutual respect and love. Of course, like any couple, they had their moments. I had seen them bicker about something as trivial as a plate of fruit, but that didn't mean they didn't care deeply for one another. I wasn't sure where all of this was going, but one thing was clear: the more I learned, the more complex everything became. Kelly's unresolved issues were not just hers to bear, they were affecting everyone around her, including me. But was it too late for things to change? Could we ever find a balance between her love for Ryan and her ability to let him live his own life? Kelly, initially tense, began to soften after I spoke with her. I told her that she should be proud of raising a son who not only loves his girlfriend but also openly admits that he would go to the ends of the earth for her. I could see her mood lighten, just a little, and for the first time, there was a flicker of pride in her eyes. I had no idea how badly she needed to hear that. Strangely, her therapist had suggested that Kelly talk to her doctor about menopause. It was odd that a comment from someone else had echoed what a different commenter had suggested earlier. The idea that her emotions were getting the better of her, possibly because of hormone changes, made sense. Her therapist also hinted that maybe her medication needed adjusting, as her extreme reaction didn't quite match the woman I'd come to know. It was a strange feeling, knowing this was something deeper, something more than just a bad day. I knew from my own experience that blaming medication for emotional outbursts was all too familiar, especially when people would tell me I was just off my meds whenever I expressed any anger. But I didn't want to fall into that trap. So, I decided to ask Kelly directly what she had forgotten. And, as expected, it was her mood-regulating medication. No surprise there. Her sister was coming to join us soon, and she would bring the missing pills. It was a small step toward healing, but at least it was a step. After that, Ryan and Emily joined us in a conversation that felt a little more like a family meeting than anything else. Apologies were offered, a few tears shed, and surprisingly, a lot of hugging. From what I gathered, this wasn't the first time these kinds of talks had taken place between the three of them. It was clear that Kelly had her moments, more than I'd realized, and sometimes those moments took their toll. The discussion naturally turned to Ryan's wallet. How did it end up in Kelly's possession? Ryan, the kind of guy who never forgets his keys, wallet, or phone, was adamant that it wasn't his fault. A brief argument broke out about whether Kelly had taken it. She denied it, and Emily suggested, perhaps a little too casually, that it simply fell out when Ryan laid down on the couch. It felt like a small misunderstanding, but it was one of those things that still needed to be addressed. Then came the big topic, the door incident. Kelly had barged into Ryan and Emily's space without any invitation, and for the first time, she couldn't give a real reason for it. After some back and forth, Emily hit the nail on the head. Kelly just wanted to catch them off guard. Ryan, as usual, stood firm on his boundaries, surprising me yet again with his calm, measured response. I'd seen him let things slide with his mom in the past, but now, he wasn't backing down. It was impressive, and honestly, a little relieving. Kelly, with a deep breath, took responsibility for her actions. She spoke openly about her therapy session, and the raw honesty brought a new understanding between everyone. Ryan and Emily seemed genuinely compassionate in their responses. Emily even thanked Kelly for owning up to her mistakes and suggested they grab a drink together, trying to make light of the situation. It felt like the tension was finally starting to ease. The moment felt like a turning point. Kelly, after gathering herself, joined the rest of us for the vacation, and it was like a weight had been lifted. Now, we could finally relax. The days ahead were filled with laughter, drinks, beach time, and good food. For the first time in what felt like ages, I was able to fully enjoy myself. Then came the comments, full of insight. One person praised how well the situation had been handled, while another admired Ryan for setting boundaries, something he'd been struggling with his whole life. Yet, someone else warned that this issue might resurface, especially if Kelly ever forgot her medication again. The emotional turmoil was still fresh, a reminder that the deeper issues weren't entirely resolved. And still, someone noted how Kelly's dislike for Emily was rooted in her overbearing, controlling nature. As the conversation unfolded, I couldn't help but feel grateful for the openness, the growth, and the realization that no matter how complicated, these situations could eventually lead to understanding and change. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. The last comment hit me the hardest. Someone noted the sweetness in Ryan's admiration for Emily, how she was always the most interesting person in the room to him. It was a small, intimate detail, but one that spoke volumes about their relationship. Ryan had grown into a man who wasn't afraid to express his love, and in that moment, it became clear to everyone around him just how much he cared. It warmed my heart to see the progress, to know that Kelly, despite her struggles, had made the first step toward healing. The vacation was just the beginning. There would be challenges ahead, but at least now, there was hope. And that's something no one could take away.